Back again for another episode of the Unpro Pro Rugby Show with me. I never introduced myself. I'm your host, Dane Sherritt, and our sexy pom, Mikey. Mike, what's happening? What's happening, bro? How are you?
Don't forget yourself, mate. You're the one that holds this podcast together, mate.
I say am I the star of the show, but
no, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Again, I'll pretty much repeat what I said last week. I don't know if I am good, to be honest. With a couple of the results I saw, but we'll get into it as always. But on a personal level, I'm great, mate. Never been better.
I might put up the photo you sent me about the notes that you did for England and Fiji. I might put that up.
I managed to get a couple down, mate. But for a minute there, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to write anything down. Just sick of it.
We're going to get to it. But I like, yes, I want to talk about obviously England bad, but fuck, how good were Fiji?
Yeah, 100% deserve to win, mate. At the end of the day, it was. Look, I won't say too much. I got a few. I can't use my 3 bullet points now, mate. So I have nothing to talk about. But
we'll get to it. All right, I'm passing it over to you for your for play-ons and knock-ons. Let's go.
Okay, mate. Just one because I know this is a shorter podcast today. Now this is from me to you, and how much faith you have in your home country. And my proposition to you is this. If South Africa win, because I have tipped South Africa to win this, and I know you're confident.
Yeah.
Knock on or play on. If South Africa win, I'll buy a Springboks jersey.
Ooh.
And I'll put Sherritt on the back of that jersey, number 10. Now, if the Boks don't win, you have to buy an England jersey with Provis and a number 10 on the back.
I'm done. Play on.
You're playing on.
Let's go. Yeah.
I love your confidence in your home nation, mate. It's unreal.
So the confidence is there, obviously, but I love it. The English jumper is always lovely. It's always good. It's a good jumper, and I'm all for getting jumpers. So you might have to talk to the wife about spending that money, but man, I'm keen. Yes, play on,
mate. If you're that confident, you won't be buying one, so it'll be me who's buying one.
There you go.
Anyway, we'll stick to that deal.
Let's go,
He's
baby.
confident. I love it.
Back to back. Well, we're sticking with the Boks because there's been a bit of a controversy, and it was with someone that didn't make failed to make the Rugby World Cup, who's in the limelight again. He was in the limelight a bit earlier this year, and that was for sneakily hooking up with the teams, the national team's dietitian. Elton Jantjies is in the media again for he's put out a statement that is confirmed that he's tested positive for a banned substance, clenbuterol, and would now face a possible ban. So clenbuterol, and this is I just took a little snippet out of SA Rugby.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it was. Clenbuterol is a substance often used by bodybuilders for its ability to burn fat. It is also by people who suffer from asthma. Okay, then in a statement Jantjies has released, which obviously the player is going to say, it was only a small amount, or with no small amount of shock and sadness, that I have to inform you that I received a notification earlier this month from the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport that a urine sample that I provided in June 2023 returned a positive test for a banned substance, clenbuterol. In the same week, a Welsh rugby union player in Rhys Webb provisionally suspended from playing in France after recording a positive drug test for growth hormone. What's very interesting to me about this, Mike, they're both playing in Pro D2. So I'm not like, I love my tinfoil hat. I'm going to put that on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do these players think they can maybe get away with things in lower divisions? I know in the lower, like French divisions, there's still like Biarritz and those teams that have played in the top 14. And they're obviously still professional athletes, so they can't be using this stuff. It doesn't look good.
Watch this space, I reckon, mate. I reckon there's going to be I reckon there's going to be a lot more testing for a lot of those players in those comps. Also with Clen, mate, and again, something I read into, it widens the airway to gain or boost your stamina. So obviously playing rugby make you run for a lot longer, which I guess is an unfair advantage to every other player. I also read that they went to Turkey for 2 months, and his wife said he wasn't doing any Clen while he was there, which, I mean, the test results say otherwise.
He got his hair, a hair transplant. That's what you go do in
I don't know
Turkey.
what he was doing, mate. That's
I
why you
might
go
need
to
to go to
Turkey, isn't
fucking
it?
Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it took me by surprise, mate. Look, I don't want to speak bad about any players. Reece Webb, he's always sort of touched a nerve with me. He's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? He's quite a vain gentleman, growth hormones. I don't know, I like Reece Webb as a player, always have. He's represented the British and Irish Lions. He's been around for a long time now. This isn't a way he would want to potentially put himself into retirement by known
Not at all.
for doing this. But again, apparently it goes back to 2016 with
Oh,
Reece Webb.
wow. So what
So it's
I
been,
heard as well is that it was potentially given to him by a doctor, by one of the team's doctors.
well, this is the thing. And look, mate, and you might be able to relate to this. I can relate from I guess I played professionally for a couple of years. When our supplements were given to us, we'd walk into what we call the lunchroom, where we'd have our team meetings in the lunchroom, and our supplements would be on a table with our name above it.
Yeah.
And you'd put your trust that the strength and conditioning coach or the dietitian who's in charge of you, gets paid to do that on a professional basis, is giving you the correct stuff. That was back in the day. So I'm sure it's a bit different these days, but we just put it in our mouth, swallowed it, drunk that protein shake, whatever it was, and off we went. So, I until it comes out and confirmed, if it's given by a doctor, they're professionals. You put your faith in them. It's a tough one, mate.
Exactly. Like with the doctors, he could be going in for the cortisone injection or something like that to help him recover with something. And who knows? Like there could be a bit of fucking GH in it. So,
and it could be, the doctor might even not be aware that substance is in it. And I know, they get tested for a lot of stuff, but look, until it comes out confirmed, I don't want to point any fingers and say you're an idiot, but they're both experienced players. Well, they're both experienced players, mate. If this is self-inflicted, I would, they're idiots. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's not like they're fresh on the scene and they wanted to get an advantage over whoever. They've been around for a long time and they should know better. But again, we'll wait until the facts come out, and then I guess we can touch on it again.
It's interesting because, again, I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that, but like Reece Webb is pretty fucking jacked. Dude, he's a big dude. So it's like when you look at it, you're like, I mean,
sort of makes sense.
Out. Yeah, it kind of checks out. But
yeah,
again, we're not pointing fingers. We're obviously only reading what the media has given us.
Yeah.
From what we've known about the media as well, there's always a lot of mayo added to things, so we don't know. But
well, I'll tell you something, mate. It's funny. I was having a coffee this morning at my local coffee shop, and one of the boys who plays for the Knights came in. I actually worked with him a little bit, and anyway, I was talking, and I actually asked him about a few things that were brought up on a TV show that covers their sport. And he just looked at me and shook his head. And he was like, you know what? We walk into training and we just joke for the first 5-10 minutes about what's come out in the media that night prior. And we just shake our heads. Yeah. So again, coming from a professional perspective, what's true and what's not, media have got to make their headlines at the moment. But again, we'll touch on it when the facts come out, but it's definitely not looking good for either of them, to be honest.
Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, more to come. Put it like that. Dot.
Watch this space.
All right. Moving on to the most exciting part of this episode today. And you know what? Something that I think all Springbok fans needed just going into this World Cup, to check that last box, because we did get smoked by All Blacks earlier this year in the Rugby Championship. And to be honest, going into this game, I'm always confident. I'm always optimistic with the Springboks. But it was in the back of your head, you're like, the All Blacks are the standard, okay? But to witness this, I was like, holy shit, we are 100%
the real deal.
No one, the favorites going into this World Cup. 35-7 at Twickenham. Again, I also wrote down here, this is the ultimate game of rugby. Like when you talk about rugby, for me, it's Springboks versus New Zealand at Twickenham. Like Twickenham is the home of rugby for me. And those are the two teams. Those two teams sit on top. And that, that spectacle, 82,000 sold out. And the Springboks go do that.
Friday evening, mate, the beers would have been flowing. It would have just been the most insane. It was good conditions by the look of it. It would have been an incredible atmosphere. I hear you, mate. I completely hear you, and you should be full of confidence. You can look at it the other way. For me, was it the worst thing in the world that the All Blacks got beaten convincingly by the Springboks? Probably not. probably a massive reality check for the All Blacks team. Now, for the Boks, massive win, go into that World Cup, but not what they've actually done now. On top of that, it's a bit of extra pressure on their shoulders to maintain that form and continue that on. For me, you wouldn't want it any other way. You wouldn't want to have lost to the All Blacks. Don't get me wrong, but what you've done there is you've been so strong against let's not beat around the bush, a very strong All Blacks team as well. You know, they didn't rest any players as such. So you can look at it both sides, but I would definitely rather be a South African now than an All Black for sure. And far out, mate, you look good. I'm not gonna lie.
It's funny because the Steve Hansen. Oh, keep the comments coming, man. Let's go, baby.
To pull back.
So Steve Hansen, no, is it Steve Hansen? No, sorry, Ian Foster, coach, All Blacks coach. He's come out and said, well, in his post-match press conference and that, he said, yeah, well, it's actually a blessing in disguise because everyone is kind of like, yep, we're not the favorites anymore. That's good. We're just going to go about our work, do our thing. And I mean, yes, I would say that as a coach, I'd be like, yep, great. Write us off or leave us out. We're just going to.
That's an Eddie Jones moment there.
Yeah.
That's what Eddie would do. Take the pressure off his players. But that's what I mean. I didn't realize he'd said that. But like I said, you're not going to want to lose that game, but far out. I'll say it again. South Africa they couldn't do anything wrong, mate. They were.
It started for me with the forwards, and we've said it every time. I'm so glad that Malcolm Marx and Kitsy aren't part of the bomb squad anymore because they're having that same effect that they would have when the bomb squad came on. They're having that effect from kickoff. Those guys are involved in everything: turnovers, tackles, carrying the ball up. Like Marks and Kitsoff from kickoff are Springboks favorites going into every game.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it. You said, well, if they're having this impact off the bench, why can't they have it from the start? And I mean, that's been happening and it's fucking working for them.
Mate, you're 6, 7, and 8. Khaleesi, Du Toit, and Vermeulen. I'm sorry, that combination there in current form, again, you wouldn't probably pick any other players, currently that are playing. Malcolm Marx, whether he's off the bench, he's going to have impact. Whether he starts, he's going to have impact. I wrote down a few things here. I jotted down a few things. And the one thing that, when watching that game, the one thing that really struck me was South Africa was so fluent. So they executed everything so well. And I was watching the forward. We joke about, our forward chat. Every line out, mate, hit his jumper, pinpoint. They were wrapping around. They exploited what I feel was the All Blacks' weaknesses. Now, a couple of the tries there was Malcolm Marx on that short side. It was a line out. The All Blacks just committed because obviously having such a strong pack, South Africa, they obviously thought catch, drive, maul, push over, and they caught him off guard. Went down that short side as 2-on-1. I think Aaron Smith was the
against
defender.
Malcolm Marx. Yeah, he's not tackling him.
And he's not tackling him. And then it happened a bit later on in the game when, is it Juwan Smith?
Yep.
Went over. No, not Juwan Smith. Your back rower who came on.
Kwagga Smith.
He did exactly the same thing. Line out, caught the ball, came down. If you watch this back, all the All Blacks just go, as soon as that play hits the floor, they in this maul, and then they've just heard a roar from the crowd, and they've gone,
oh shit!
And the try's gone over.
Yeah.
Just caught. It's quite clear that South Africa did their homework and executed their plays perfectly.
It's funny that now that you said it, and it's just ringed on me, because there was the penalties in the first half were ridiculous against the All Blacks, but 5 or 6 of them were early pushing in the line out. So from Springboks coming down, so it was obviously drilled into the All Blacks' heads. Any line out in their 22 that they're defending, Springboks are going to maul it. So they're obviously trying to get on the front foot there, but obviously going too soon. And then maybe in the back end, because those tries were in the back end of the second half.
Yeah.
They were waiting too long, but then still all committing. And the Springboks were then breaking off to score those tries. Man, what I really enjoyed as well about the forwards was Springboks are always known again for big bodies, taking the ball to the line and fucking crashing over plays. They were then using a little bit of hands, a little bit of variation around the pod. So there was either the little tap on, or instead of the 9 hitting that front runner, he was hitting the second, the last runner. So guys would rush out of the line to hit that guy, but the ball has gone across the face. And just bringing those little variations in, I think just brings them another whole point of attack. And again, like changing what everyone thinks that the Boks are going to do. They can show that they've got this other gear that they can kind of step into. And I was joking with all my Kiwi mates. I was like, mate, we didn't even climb out of third gear because it looked like everything they did, like you said, executed really well. So it makes it look kind of easy.
Yeah, it did. It was, it was. And again, we referred to at the start of this. You're playing against the All Blacks here. You're not playing against a weak side. And you look at the, Smith, Mwanga, Talea, Barrett, Ioane, Jordan, and Barrett. Like,
that's
who else
strength.
are you putting in there? It's a full strength team. Yeah. And then I just want to touch quickly on the on Moody, the 20-year-old center you guys had, mate. That no try that he scored, the potential or the talent he showed, the balance of his running, everything that he just did it's just, I feel like, set his international career up, because that on that stage in front of that many people against the All Blacks, to be able to do that and score that try, yes, it wasn't given. What a confidence boost for a young lad, man, 20 years old, and looks like a freak of a player.
But it's one of those ones, it wasn't given, but everyone saw what he did.
Yes.
Like that's
just what I mean. It was the footwork, it was the balance of him running. Man. Anyway, he good on him. Good on him.
Really exciting to see that center pairing, because Andre Esterhuizen, man, I think his first carry like ran straight through Geordie Barrett. I've been talking Geordie Barrett up this whole season. And for him to do that, like the guy's legs, he's massive. So what he's brought in since moving to Harlequins, I feel like, is because they have an emphasis on attack, and it's not running at faces, you run at spaces. You're running at the player, but that last little step that gets the weaker arm, and he's just busted straight through there. He's added a bit of ball skill as well, so he can pass the ball nicely both ways. But man, him and Kane Moody together, like if Damien de Allender and Jesse Krill are starting, man, those guys are pushing hard. Lucanio also waiting there to come back in. Man, that's beautiful.
Your center, your strength and depth in your centers is next level, mate. And unfortunately, 2 players are missing out there each game, and it's a tough one. It's great to have that strength, but absolutely, you would chuck those 2 players that miss out on any other international team at the moment as well on current form, which is tough for them. But yeah, they were unreal.
One other thing, well, quickly going back, no, we'll stay on the backs, because it was one thing that we've touched on the whole time as well. Was the kicking off the tee. And the ball goes and says, all right, guys, I can actually, when I put my head down and do it properly, 5 out of 5. And it looked like he wasn't going to miss anything. So that, I think confidence-wise, as well, confidence for a kicker is everything. And man, doing that on the ultimate highest stage, going in, that was their last warm-up game, going into the World Cup, he'd be flying high, man.
But he's played, and that goes, I think, personally, that goes hand in hand with the performance.
Yep.
Everything's been executed. You're seeing that as the playmaker. You're going, this is sweet, that's sweet, this is working, that's working. Just, you know what? I'm full of confidence going into this kick. Bang, it's gone over. Yeah. You can't do anything wrong at the moment. And that full, the thing for me was, it was a full 80-minute performance of just pure class. And I'm not just saying that because, you're South African. It was pure class. And I hope they're going to be extremely difficult, mate, to beat on that form. And that's why I say they almost put a little bit of pressure on themselves, because they've set the bar now. On that final game going into World Cup, they've set the bar, and I think they'll back it up. I'm not going to...
If I'm anything to go by, I fucking love pressure, boy. That's what Springboks want. We want it. We want that, because rugby is all that nation has had to bring, like they say, sport brings a nation together. For South Africans, rugby is it. Every year, every time they've won the World Cup, it has revolutionized, it has changed everything that goes on in South Africa. People can hate each other and they all of a sudden love each other. When
that's unreal.
Are doing well, that South Africa is, as a nation, good.
How good is that?
So much other shit that's going on behind the scenes. The politicians, this, the electricity, that, the prices of petrol, this. But man, when the Bokke are playing well and are winning games,
no one cares.
No one cares about that stuff, man.
Happy. that there is what rugby does as well. Like
Yeah.
outside of the sport, just brings a nation together. I'm not South African, mate. You've just taught me a few things there of what it's like over there at the moment. But no one cares when the Boks are going well. And that to me is
100%.
how good. How good, man.
There was a late change. Oh, last thing, and then we can touch a little bit on the
Yep.
All Blacks. Not much to say about them, man. Sorry, guys.
No. Well, do you know what?
I don't know. Before we get to them quickly, like Willie LaRue got, I think, a little niggle or something, and he got pulled off late because he was going to stop on the bench. And it really worked in South Africa's favor. So they went for a 7-1 split. So there was only one back.
I saw that. Yeah.
So they changed the whole forward pack, brought that whole forward pack on, and absolutely demoralized the All Black scrum. Like, imagine Bongi, Trevor Nyakane, and Vincent Koch coming on. Then, like, I think it was John playing. Oh, it was just, and I was like, imagine you've been scrumming 80 or 60 minutes versus Kitsoff, Marks, and Frank Labber, and then you look up at the next scrum, and these, like, Vincent Koch is built like the Incredibles from the dad from the Incredibles. Just a block. Trevor the same, a big block, and now you have to scrum these guys.
Do you reckon they'll take that strategy into the World Cup?
I think definitely, because Kwagga Smith, because he's got a sevens background, he can easily jump on the wing or in inside center if he has to. So if it happens, Damian Willemse can cover 10 and 12.
Yeah.
Kanan Moody can now cover center, wing, and fullback. Like, man, let's go. You know what I mean? It'll hit the fan if 3 backs get injured, but that rarely happens.
It is rare. But you do have that flexibility, like you just said, with all those utility players that can play in a range of different.
Yeah.
It worked, mate. It worked.
Yeah.
Can they sustain that throughout the World Cup? You know, mate, it's going to be, I've said this from the start, World Cup's going to be extremely interesting. These games leading up into it could be throwing us off a little bit. It could be completely different to how they play in the World Cup, but it's definitely interesting leading in, seeing these results and seeing these little cracks in these teams that you never thought would happen.
Absolutely. And then Springboks definitely, I think, too, World Rugby has exposed a few things for people that are going to play against the All Blacks. They've definitely exposed a few things. I think moving on to the All Blacks, and we'll just touch on this just quickly because I really want to jump onto the Fiji England game, and they just look rattled. Hey, it's like when a team, you go into the game with a game plan, it backfires, and they just didn't change. They didn't change their game plan. They just kept kicking the ball back to the Springboks, and Springboks weren't giving them the ball.
They starved them. They completely starved them. I'll touch on this in the England game as well. Very similar. And I've touched on this prior. The no plan B isn't a thing. And the All Blacks just looked in utter disbelief. It was a complete demolition, and I haven't seen that from a team against the All Blacks in a long, long time. Again, I'll reiterate, pretty much full strength All Blacks team, absolutely annihilated, dominated by an incredible Springboks team. Not something I think I have ever said before.
Yeah. Well, it is a record. That is the worst defeat the All Blacks have ever suffered.
Is that right? Ever?
Yep.
Holy.
It's either ever or just against the Springboks, but I'm pretty sure it's ever.
Regardless. That's
The All Blacks got out All Blacked. That's what I
I'll tell you one thing that summed it up for me, mate, was that chase. I think I've written it down here. There was a chase for the All Blacks. So I'm not sure of his name, Roygart.
Yeah, Cam Roygart. Yeah.
Roygart was chased down by I can't say his name. Yep.
Reinach, yep.
Last, they were 35-0 up. This just shows South African rugby at the moment. Chased him down there, 35-0 up. Game was won. He chased him down, tackled him. Yes, it was a try, but that just shows the intent and the enthusiasm behind the camaraderie between all the players at the moment. They just fight for each other. They don't give up for the whole 80 minutes in a warm-up game leading into the World Cup. Unreal, mate. Unreal. And when those little moments in games where you see your mate put their body on the line and give those little 1%ers that some players don't give, that's when you go, all right, let's go. Do you know what I mean? He's just giving me that boost I need.
That's when you go, we're winning the World Cup back to back.
That's it. 100%. Yep. 100%, mate. 100%.
So moving on, it's a lovely little segment there for the Springboks, mate. Just again,
They deserve it. They
lovely to
deserve
see,
it.
and they do. Again, I
Hmm.
guess I'm biased, but we do deserve that.
Credit where
On
credit's due, mate.
to England versus Fiji, and again, we're going to talk about England. Do we want to talk about Fiji first? Because man, for a tier 2 nation to record their first ever win over England at Twickenham, like all the circumstances are surrounding it, leading into the World Cup, breaking a record or drought that's never happened before. Like how fucking good, how good for the Fijians.
Yeah, even from an Englishman, mate. I've got there's a guy, Sam Matavesi, shout out to him, a Cornish lad playing hooker for Fiji. For me, one of the form hookers in world rugby at the moment. To be a part of that team and see him on that picture of his family after, mate, in such a historic, just this young lad from Cornwall in a historic moment at Twickenham. I even being English, mate, there's no excuses. There's nothing I can say to try and cover that English team. I don't want to keep repeating myself. It concerns me. Fiji deserved everything they got. Physicality, athleticism, the offloads, the execution of things. Like they had a try pull back for a forward pass. Questionable, yeah, it probably was a little bit forward, but regardless, they broke the English line, offloaded, try. They just deserved everything, mate. And I don't think a lot of those players, I think it was Courtney Law's 100th cap.
Yes.
At Twickenham, losing against Fiji, like it wasn't a memorable moment for him, but take nothing away from Fiji. They'll be lapping this one up.
What really surprised me about the Fiji, we've always known Fiji to be elusive runners, like an offload from anywhere, ball in one hand, very strong and physical in contact. But what I really enjoyed, and I'm like, these guys have worked really hard on this, is their patience in attack.
Yeah.
Like there was about 10 or 11 times where they run 8, 9 phases at a time. And a couple of them then led to tries where usually they would try to go for the crazy offload or try and do something that come out of nowhere where you can see that how all of these guys, or most of them, I mean, 80% of them are playing together with Drua, Fiji and Drua in the Super Rugby, and the rest are playing top league across the world, mainly in France and England. And you can just see that experience that has now started to come through where usually it's, try the crazy offload or the chip kick or whatever it is, where now these guys are slowly building that patience on attack where it's maybe hit it up this way with a forward, just a little tip on and come back.
Yeah.
And they just crash it up and sucking in England's defense. Because, man, when that ball is going wide,
you're in trouble.
And they've got a couple of numbers on attack, you're in trouble, man, because Semi Radradra, the captain as well, like those guys
beast,
are
man.
so elusive, man.
Yeah, and that's where Fiji have always been able to play decent rugby. You've just hit the nail on the head. What let them down was those little offloads that would then create a knock on, and then the opposition team would then score a try, and all of a sudden the scoreboard blows out. The patience that they're now showing, like I said, the ability's there. It's just 100%. the education and the mentality of the players just to play. There's always going to be a place for that crazy offload or that big Fijian goosey, but I don't know, mate. I don't know what to say as an look from an English perspective. There's not much to say apart from I know full well, because these players are professional. The players, regardless of the media and the talk around all this, the people who be hurting most of the players. There's no way in the world that you'd have walked into that England dressing room after that game at Twickenham. There would have been a glimpse of a smirk or a smile or a laugh. It would have hurt them a lot, especially on Courtney Law's been there, done it. British and Irish Lions, 100th cap for England, to do that on his 100th appearance as well. Again, take nothing away from Fiji. They deserved it. They'll be hurting bad, mate. They'll be hurting really, really bad now.
Absolutely. Before we jump to England, I want to quickly stay on the Fiji because I really want to
carry on.
Again, this isn't.
I'm just hurt, mate.
No, I get it. I can see. I don't want to be rubbing. I'm not rubbing this in at all. We're both lovers of quality rugby, and I want to give Fiji their credit. The way their forwards as well dismantled them all, like England's more, was a major concern for me as well. Like normally England have these big forwards, like they're very structured off their maul. A lot of attack gets played from their maul. Like that's a big setup for them. But man, the way Fiji's forwards just dismantling it, and I think it is that experience that has come through where these guys are playing at top level. Like, yes, Fiji could have brought in good coaches and that, but these guys, the experience that they're bringing, the knowledge that they're gathering from other clubs, playing with other experienced players, bringing it to then the Fiji setup, obviously getting guys in played previously with All Blacks and stuff like that, where they can now join them. And it shows massively. And it's great to see, man, because of how we were like, we're always, again, so elusive, so like with their offloads and all that, but just that other side of them has been great to see.
Do you think, let me ask you this, do you think that win is on a great Fijian performance or a English side down on confidence, not backing themselves? With the greatest respect to Fiji, what do you like? What would you?
I would say it's like a 70-30 split.
Yeah,
because I really want to give credit where it's due, man. Fiji, like the tries they scored were crazy, man. I don't think it matters who they played against there. Not taking away from the fact that England's form and all their confidence would be really down by their bootlaces. But man, and again, like kicking off the tee, Caleb Muntz, I think he missed one kick. Again, whenever they could, they took the 3 points and they kept applying that scoreboard pressure. And then I want to say his name, Rava Tamada, the winger for Fiji.
Yep.
Man, that guy is so quick, and it's so elusive. In 5 meters, I mean, Johnny May done him early when England scored first up, but he got him back like a couple times, man. And just the quality of wingers in world rugby at the moment is it gives me shit.
What is it though? What is it about the Fijian blood that makes these players look so balanced and natural and just amazing to watch? I don't know what it is. We're all built the same. We've got the same genetics. Do you know what I mean? Within reason.
We definitely don't have their genetics.
I mean, it's power. And it's there's no effort in it. They just look so natural when they play. And like,
you go.
No, I was just going to say, it's just that they're one nation. This comes from the 7 side, I guess, but like they're just always an absolute pleasure to watch. Not only that in attack, but man, they can put a hit on as well when they want to. So man, you've got to be careful, man.
Some crunches in that too. And just lastly on their attack, what I loved as well is how the supporting players react to like line breaks.
Yeah,
that I put up a little reel of. Is it Matavesi? Is that how he says? Yep. He did man, he's got silky footwork.
Yeah, footwork. Was that on Dan, I think, and just sent him the wrong way and he fell over.
Because I even fell for it. He's gone with a mad step that side, and then he's done another one. But he's got players both side of him. I don't even think he looked. He just chucked it one side. And there was a couple times. I know that one you spoke about with a forward pass. And that guy had like 1,000. He had 1,000 options to choose from. When making line breaks. Again, that's another thing of those experienced players I feel like that have come from these different top leagues and just know what to do, how to react to certain things when it happens.
Yeah. And, you see a lot of players, or you used to see a lot of Fijian players, international players playing in the lower leagues in England as well. Like it's been a few in teams that I've played in, and these are international guys and never been on that top level. Whereas now you look at them with the strength of leagues around the world, competitions around the world, in France, even in places like Spain, in England, and the Super Rugby, like they're only going to get better, and they're only going to continue to get better moving forward as well. But again, like you said, they break the line, there's always someone there. It's just that, a lot of nations will go, that 50-50 pass, keep hold. Fiji will go, do you know what? Stuff it, because I know someone's going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So credit where it's due, man. Absolutely beautiful thing.
Yep. Good on you, Fiji.
Sure,
well done.
Be a few, and it's not even a shocker anymore if they beat teams, because man, they've shown their cards and it's great to watch.
Mate, you might know. I used to work with a guy called. He's played for Hamilton for years. Jimmy Lagi and Taka. I'm glad I don't work, and I can say that name because I worked with him for 10 years. But I'm glad I don't work with him anymore, because anything England against Fiji, he would let me know. I don't think he's got my number anymore. So Jimmy, if you listen to this, mate, unlucky.
Good on you.
Oh dear.
So, kind of wrapping this one up. last few words on England. I mean, that was their last bit of cards that
I'll
they've
tell
shown.
you,
They haven't shown much cards going into the World Cup, but
I've written, I know I joked around earlier and I sent you a photo of a blank page for the English notes. I haven't written one thing down about England apart from this. In the World Cup in the pool, if England win or lose against Argentina and we beat the other teams, which on current form, we'd struggle to, but you'd hope so, we'll get a quarterfinal spot. From that quarterfinal, we will play either Wales, Fiji, or Australia. If we win that, we're in a semi-final. That's how I'm looking at it. It's a false sense of joy and you know, going into it. But that's reality. If we win or lose against Argentina, we get a quarterfinal berth. If we beat the other teams, then it's Wales, Fiji, or Australia to get into the semi-final. So we can still do it. But something needs to happen between now and then. And I know, like I said earlier, these players are going to be hurting so flipping bad. They will do everything, and I know they will do everything that is humanly possible to go into that World Cup and prove all the doubters and all the media wrong, and including us, because I'm giving them a hard time, and rightly so at the moment.
Yeah, and I think rightly so for anyone, I feel like. But
yeah,
it's unlike England
it's
to
tough.
not do well at a work like they do well.
But this is they're just so that we just don't. We're not used to seeing England in such a slump.
Yeah,
they might win, they might lose a game here or there, but they're really in a tough position at the moment. And look, I have no doubt England will come into that World Cup strong. I wouldn't say extremely strong, but they'll be strong, and they'll prove a few doubters wrong. But look, reality is, and I'm going to say it right now, we're not winning the World Cup. Chuck a few, just experiment, even in the World Cup, experiment and just prepare. Bit cliche for the next 4 years. Like we're not beating South Africa. I would hate to see what England, so an informed South African team on the weekend would have done to England. It would have been absolutely embarrassing. So anyway, that's me. I'm not going to mention England anymore because I'm in a whole world of pain, mate.
And it's gonna stay like that for a while. I feel.
I know.
No, again, like we always say, man, we want teams to do good, just not against South Africa.
Yes, of course.
All right, guys, that was a shorter one today, but we're gonna wrap it up there. Again, thanks, Mike. There's no games
Appreciate it, mate.
weekend, so we might do a little like best of or most iconic moments next week for the World Cup.
Yeah, done. Cool.
And looking forward to it.
Let's go. Should be fun. Should be fun.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.